Picture a battlefield that looks nothing like anything in human history. No front lines, no trenches, no massed formations of soldiers advancing under fire. Instead, swarms of autonomous machines making life and death decisions at speeds no human mind can match. Directed energy weapons firing at the speed of light. Soldiers wearing exoskeletons that make them stronger than any human being has ever been. Hypersonic missiles crossing continents in minutes, and somewhere above it all, artificial intelligence orchestrating the entire engagement, processing more information in 1 second than an entire military headquarters could analyze in a week. This is not a science fiction screenplay. This is the battlefield that the world's most powerful militaries are actively building right now. And the 10 technologies we are about to reveal are not distant dreams. They are funded, they are being tested. Several are already deployed, and together they represent the most profound transformation in the nature of warfare since the invention of gunpowder. But here is what makes this story genuinely alarming. Most of these technologies are advancing faster than the legal frameworks, the ethical guidelines, and the international treaties designed to govern them. The weapons are arriving before the rules. And one of the developments near the end of this list has created a debate among the world's leading military ethicists that has no resolution in sight. Stay with us, because by the time we reach number 1, your understanding of what modern warfare is about to become will never be the same. We begin with a technology that has already fundamentally changed conflicts in Ukraine, the Middle East, and beyond, and yet is still only in its earliest developmental stage. The military drone has existed for decades, but what is emerging now bears almost no resemblance to the Predator and Reaper systems that defined the early era of unmanned aerial warfare. The new generation of military drones are smaller, faster, cheaper, smarter, and increasingly capable of operating without any human guidance whatsoever. Ukraine has demonstrated something that surprised even the most experienced military analysts. That relatively inexpensive commercial drone technology, modified and weaponized, can destroy tanks, sink warships, and penetrate the air defenses of a major military power. The Shahed 136, an Iranian-designed loitering munition used extensively in that conflict, costs approximately $20,000 per unit, and has successfully struck targets that multi-million-dollar air defense systems fail to intercept simply through saturation. When you can launch 100 weapons for the price of one, the mathematics of air defense collapse. But the drone revolution is only beginning. DARPA's Gremlins program in the United States has been developing air-launched drone swarms, hundreds of small autonomous vehicles deployed from larger aircraft, capable of overwhelming any point defense system through sheer numbers and coordination. The concept of a drone swarm operating as a single distributed intelligence, each unit sharing information with every other unit, adapting collectively to losses, identifying and prosecuting targets without individual human authorization for each engagement, represents a genuinely new form of warfare, and it is closer than most people realize. However, this is where the story becomes truly fascinating. The second technology on our list takes everything we just described about drones and moves it beneath the ocean's surface. Autonomous underwater vehicles, military-grade, weapons-capable, and capable of operating for months without human contact, are being developed simultaneously by the United States, China, and Russia. We have discussed the Boeing Orca in the context of submarine warfare, but the broader category of autonomous underwater systems extends far beyond any single platform. The United States Navy's concept of distributed maritime operations envisions entire underwater battlefields populated by unmanned systems, mine-laying drones, anti-submarine drones, surveillance drones, and strike drones, all operating in coordinated networks beneath the surface where no human commander can directly observe or control them in real time. The latency of underwater communication makes true real-time control impossible at depth, which means these systems must, by operational necessity, make their own decisions. The implications of autonomous weapons making independent targeting decisions in an environment where no human can observe or override them is a challenge that military lawyers and ethicists have not yet resolved. The third technology is one that sounds like pure fantasy until you examine the research, at which point it becomes one of the most consequential developments in modern military history. Directed energy weapons, lasers and high-powered microwave systems have been in development since the 1980s. What is different now is that they actually work. The United States Navy's Helios system, high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, has been deployed on an operational destroyer and has demonstrated the ability to track and destroy drone targets. Lockheed Martin's Athena system has shot down multiple small aircraft in testing. Israel's Iron Beam laser defense system, developed in partnership with Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, has conducted successful intercepts of rockets and mortars and is moving toward operational deployment. The strategic implications are extraordinary. A laser weapon, once built and powered, fires at the speed of light and costs roughly $1 per shot. Compare that to the cost of a standard air defense missile, anywhere from $50,000 to over $3 million per round, and the economic logic of directed energy becomes impossible to ignore. Yet military analysts believe this may only be the beginning. The fourth technology rewrites the physics of strike warfare. Hypersonic weapons, missiles, and glide vehicles capable of traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5, and in some cases Mach 20, have been the subject of an intense three-way development race between the United States, Russia, and China. Russia's Kinzhal air-launched ballistic missile, which has been used operationally in Ukraine, travels at speeds up to Mach 10 and has demonstrated the ability to penetrate existing air defense systems. China's DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle, displayed publicly at military parades and confirmed by satellite imagery of test ranges, is designed to defeat the terminal high-altitude area defense system, THAAD, which is currently America's most advanced theater missile defense. The United States, having recognized it fell behind in this domain, has accelerated multiple hypersonic programs simultaneously, including the Army's long-range hypersonic weapon and the Navy's conventional prompt strike system. The fundamental challenge of hypersonic defense is not just speed. It is the combination of speed, maneuverability, and low-altitude flight profile that makes these weapons extraordinarily difficult to intercept with any system currently in service anywhere in the world. But what happens next is even more surprising. The fifth technology operates in a domain that most people never think about: space. Military satellite constellations have been critical to modern warfare since the Gulf War of 1991, providing GPS navigation, communications, surveillance, and early warning. But the vulnerability of those satellites has become one of the most urgent concerns in military planning. China tested a direct ascent anti-satellite missile in 2007, destroying one of its own weather satellites and creating a debris field that still threatens other orbital assets. Russia has tested co-orbital anti-satellite systems, satellites that can maneuver close to an adversary satellite and disable or destroy it. Both nations have developed ground-based laser systems capable of blinding reconnaissance satellites. The United States Space Force, established in 2019, exists precisely because space is no longer a sanctuary. It is a war-fighting domain, and the nation that can deny its adversary the use of space while protecting its own orbital assets holds an advantage in every other domain simultaneously. The sixth technology has been transforming military logistics, force protection, and increasingly direct combat roles in ways that are visible on battlefields right now. The military exoskeleton, a powered mechanical frame worn by a soldier that augments strength, endurance, and load-carrying capacity, has moved from laboratory concept to operational testing with remarkable speed. Sarcos Robotics and Lockheed Martin have both developed exoskeleton systems that allow a soldier to carry loads exceeding 200 pounds with minimal physical effort. The military applications extend beyond logistics. Enhanced mobility across difficult terrain, reduced fatigue over extended operations, and the ability to carry heavier weapons and armor all represent genuine tactical advantages. Special operations forces in multiple countries are actively evaluating exoskeleton systems for operational deployment. The seventh technology is perhaps the most quietly revolutionary on this entire list: battlefield artificial intelligence. Not the autonomous weapons we discussed earlier, but AI systems that assist human commanders by processing vast quantities of intelligence data and presenting actionable recommendations, is already operational. The United States military's Project Maven, initially controversial when it was revealed that Google had been a contractor before withdrawing following employee protests, uses machine learning to analyze drone surveillance footage and identify targets of interest at speeds and scales impossible for human analysts. DARPA's Alpha Dogfight trials in 2020 produced a result that shocked the aviation community. An AI system defeated experienced human F-16 pilots in simulated air combat 5 times in a row without losing a single engagement. The AI processed sensor data, evaluated threat geometries, and executed maneuvers faster than any human pilot could physically respond. And the final development could completely change everything. The eighth technology addresses what military strategists call the last mile problem of modern warfare. How do you resupply, reinforce, or extract personnel from a battlefield that has been completely denied to conventional aircraft and ground vehicles by enemy fire? Autonomous ground vehicles capable of navigating combat environments without human drivers are being developed and tested by multiple armies. But the more immediately transformative technology is the military application of vertical takeoff and landing autonomous aircraft, essentially large drone taxis designed for combat logistics. The United States Marine Corps has been testing the Kármán K-MAX autonomous helicopter for cargo resupply missions. Bell's autonomous VTOL concepts are being evaluated for medical evacuation. The ability to move supplies, weapons, and wounded personnel across a denied battlefield without risking additional human lives represents a genuine operational revolution. The ninth technology is one that exists at the intersection of biology and warfare in ways that raise profound ethical questions. Military brain-computer interface research, most prominently DARPA's N3 program, which seeks to develop non-invasive neural interface technology, aims to create a direct communication channel between a soldier's nervous system and military hardware. The near-term applications being pursued include faster control of unmanned systems, enhanced situational awareness through direct sensory feeds, and accelerated decision-making by reducing the lag between human intention and machine response. The longer-term implications, and this is where confirmed research shades into expert speculation, could include soldiers who can control multiple drone systems simultaneously through thought alone, or who receive battlefield information directly into their perceptual experience without looking at a screen. Which brings us to the 10th technology, the one that generated the debate we mentioned at the beginning. The development that has military ethicists, international lawyers, and arms control experts in a dispute that strikes at the very heart of what warfare is and what it is allowed to be. Fully autonomous lethal systems, weapons that can identify, select, and engage human targets without any human decision in the engagement loop, do not yet exist in deployed form in any publicly confirmed military inventory, but the technological components required to build them: computer vision capable of identifying human targets, autonomous navigation, miniaturized, lethal payloads, and onboard processing powerful enough to make targeting decisions, all exist right now, today, in commercially available technology. The assembly of those components into a system that kills without human authorization is not a significant engineering challenge. It is a policy choice. And different nations are making different choices. The United States Department of Defense has maintained a policy requiring meaningful human control over lethal force decisions, but that policy has no enforcement mechanism beyond American willingness to comply with it. And in a conflict where an adversary deploys fully autonomous, lethal systems without restriction, the pressure to abandon that policy in the name of competitive necessity would be enormous. This is the future that the 10 technologies on this list are collectively building. A battlefield where machines fight at speeds humans cannot follow, where the ocean floor and the orbital high ground are contested domains, where a soldier's nervous system interfaces directly with weapon systems, and where the question of who or what decides to take a human life may no longer have a clear answer. The history of warfare is the history of technology changing what is possible. The spear gave way to the cannon gave way to the aircraft gave way to the missile. Each transition was disruptive. Each one made previous assumptions obsolete. Each one created new moral questions that societies struggled to answer. But every previous transformation in military technology still left a human being at the moment of decision. The finger on the trigger, the hand releasing the bomb, the pilot choosing the target. What the technologies on this list are building, collectively, incrementally, each one seemingly reasonable in isolation, is a world where that may no longer be guaranteed. The question is not whether these technologies are coming, they are already here. The question, the one that will define the moral character of the century ahead, is whether humanity will choose to place limits on them before the limits place themselves on us.